When you're setting out to learn the guitar, there's really two problems we're putting together. Problem one, you have to have a certain amount of mechanical skills, coordinating left and right hand, knowing the right chord patterns, where you want to be putting your fingers. That's all important, and that takes a certain amount of time. But we can speed up the idea of what notes and what chords go together with what we call music theory. Now, music theory gets a bad rap, but it's not that bad. What it really comes down to is understanding the family of notes and the family of chords that go together. And once we understand those families, all we have to understand is, or how we have to figure out is, which family do we want to use first? And I'm going to propose to you guys that the one you want to start with is G. The key of G, the family of G, however you want to kind of think of it. And that's built around the G note. And of course we need to know where that is, and we need to know what a G chord looks like. And there's a G chord. So nothing very fancy. But there's 7 chords in the family of G that we got to know about. 7 notes in the family of G we have to know about. And once we're understanding these things, then the world starts getting more interesting. The note sequence is pretty easy for the G major scale. There's our notes, and it goes from G to G. So what did we accomplish here? Well, we took all of the possibilities of music and we just stripped everything away to talk about 7 notes. And you might say, you played 8 notes. That's right, I played the G note twice, okay? But no big deal. So what are we trying to accomplish? Well, by knowing the notes, the sounds that go together, we're going to always sound pretty good. For instance, I know I can play the D chord, a C chord, and a G chord together, and you go, that didn't sound so bad. And that's because we have G, A, B, C, D, oh, that's C and the D, our E, an F and a G, an F sharp and a G. Okay, that's our notes that sound good together. That's going to be our chords that sound good together. And in general, we make most of our music with major chords. A G, a C, and a D. So that's most of our music. It's not that you can't do other stuff, but it's most of it. And we want to throw in something a little more interesting. We might throw in an E minor chord or an A minor chord. Okay? And so as we start gathering this idea of what's involved in music theory, a lot of things start to get simplified. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wait, I've got to have all these other things. And you will, and you'll grow with them and grab them over the years. But, getting started, we just need to talk about this one family. And so what are the chords of the G major scale? Well, we're going to have a G, we're going to have an A minor, we're going to have a B minor, a bar chord. Well, we don't have to play it as a bar chord. We could just play a partial chord. Or we could play the bass part of it. And we just don't pick certain strings while we're playing it. So it's our B, our C chord, our D chord, those are both major, an E minor. And then there's the total evilness itself. This is the diminished chord, or in this case the diminished flat 5 chord, which is an odd chord, but it's not that hard to play in the key of G. And there we're playing the F sharp, minor 7 flat 5, which we're using for an F sharp diminished. And then we come back to G. And you notice that transition sounded really good. And so all music theory is doing is short-circuiting the part where we know what matches. Now, why do you want to learn these particular chords? Well, if you're a deeper voiced singer, that G is often towards the low end. If we have a capo, we can bring the capo up if we put it on the 5th fret. Okay. What the capo does is it moves everything up in a higher register, so that by playing the G chord, we actually are playing the notes that we would expect with the C. And C is getting up to the mid-range of notes. So we've got a very nice little pattern of chords. We just have to learn them. And that does take a little bit of time. But hopefully what we've done here is we've basically said, look, don't panic over every possibility. reduce it down to one family that gets together. That's going to be the G, key of G. And we're going to use that to describe all the ideas that we're going to want to be playing with. And so if I just look at a simple chord progression, I'm going to have a G. I want something a little bit mellower, go to the E minor. Something a little brighter, and bright again. And a lot of music is made with just that sequence, which is a 1, 6, 4, 5 chord progression. And we do that by simply recognizing that the G note is our one note, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. With these ideas, we've suddenly made music a lot more accessible, getting rid of the part of having to think about music, and now we can focus on just the mechanics of playing the chords. And if you learn the G chord, the C chord, and the D chord, and of course our E minor chord, you're going to have gone a long way. Now, of course, this isn't all there is to it. One of the things you may have noticed is we did throw in a bar chord. That was the B minor chord. I could have a B flat minor chord. I could have a B major chord, which has sort of this look. Okay. It's not that bar chords are bad or really that hard. We just have to realize they're going to take a little more time mechanically to work on. And until then, we do what anybody would do. We cheat. There's a nice cheap bar chord or non-bar chord for the B minor. I could have the bass version of it, and we're still making it easy. So the whole package here is there's a lot of things that tend to slow people down, put them into a panic when they're starting out in the guitar. We can bypass all of this just by moving to the key of G and thinking not so much about how to do everything exactly as it should be, but how to do things in the best way possible. You may have noticed I did that with how we were playing the chords. I play a 4-finger G. If I just move these 2 fingers down, I've got a 4-finger C chord, which is really a C add 9. I can come down and play a D. When I just play with the 3 fingers on, that's a true D major. If I put my baby finger down on the G note, I get a D sus4. And if I take everything off but these 2 fingers, I can get a D sus2. And that's what I was playing a little bit earlier. Just a very nice little chord progression of a slightly different type. And the idea, though, is we want to get rid of the idea that it's hard to learn to play the guitar, that music theory is some way going to make your life more difficult, and that we really can put all the pieces together really quickly and easily. That doesn't make the technique part any better. You do have to put the time in to learn the different chord shapes and get your hands used to it, but the rest of it comes pretty quick.